In April 2025, US announced a complete phase out of all artificial petroleum based food colors or dyes from its entire food supply. In Europe, regulations have required food items with these artificial colors to carry warning labels for more than a decade. Yet, in India, these colors continue to be freely used, many times in excess of permitted quantities and without any warning label. In fact, even the name of the color is not mentioned in a lot of cases. So yes, today we are going to talk about artificial food colors and what a disaster they've been for our food. This is part of our deep dive series into key chemical ingredients that go into ultra processed foods. We will take a look at where these artificial colors came from, what is the impact on human body, how regulations are reacting to these colors, and some practical aspects which we should keep in mind when making food choices. Most artificial food colors started as industrial waste. In 1850s, a British student named William was doing an experiment to find a treatment for malaria. He was using coal tar, which is a waste material produced when coal is processed for fuel. His experiment failed, but when he was washing his flask in his lab with alcohol, he noticed that there was a purple stain in the glass. He was surprised and he tried it on silk and it actually worked beautifully as a dye. And that's where it started. From waste material, coal tar produced from coal. Soon, chemists all over the world were finding new and new chemical ingredients which could work as dyes. These were much better than other natural dyes because these were cheap since they were produced from waste. They were very stable and long lasting. So that's how artificial food colors actually came into picture. And then as economies evolved, we moved from coal to using crude oil derivatives. So today, most artificial food colors are manufactured from the same raw material which is used to create petrol or plastics. They have zero nutritional value. Their only purpose is to make food look good, bright, attractive. And since these have only been around for 150 years, our body does not know how to handle them as it does for other natural food colors which have been around for thousands of years. Turmeric, beetroot powder, the research around them is very limited or more recent when people have actually started realizing that these food colors can be harmful. But regulators across the globe seem to assume that these colors are safe till there is no evidence of harm, which honestly is not a very intelligent approach for something like food. You may know that packed food has artificial colors, but you will be amazed just how many categories of food actually have these colors. It's not just colorful candies or ice creams or shakes, it's everywhere. Biscuits, namkeens, milkshakes, ready to eat parathas, ready to eat vegetables, flavored yogurt, flavored noodle, dairy, breakfast cereal, even sauces, ketchups, spices, condiments, pickles. Tartrazine is one of the most common artificial colors in condiments. Even flavored dairy. Sweets, rasgullas, gulab jamuns, then you have mouth fresheners, suparis, you name it. You will be surprised to even find a product which does not have any of these artificial colors. And then the unorganized market is a completely different story. You see that famous colorful gola you get on Juhu Beach, crushed ice, lollies, which kids eat a lot during fairs, melas, etc. They have all of these artificial colors and in many cases not even the permitted ones. Our own FSSAI did a study and they found that many of these products had colors which are not even permitted, and the permitted ones, sunset yellow, tartrazine, were found as high as 8 to 15 times of permissible limits. Imagine the amount of harm that these would be causing to kids in their developmental years. The most important and comprehensive study on food colors was not done by a university but by a government. The state of California in United States, troubled by the inaction of their own central regulator. In 2021, the Health Department of the state of California conducted a comprehensive study of all published literature so far on food colors, including clinical trials, animal studies, and everything. And their findings were conclusive. There was a clear correlation between usage of this artificial petroleum based food colors and hyperactivity and cognitive issues in children. So much so that the state actually moved ahead to ban these food colors when they were allowed in the country. There was another study published in 2022 which proved a significant correlation between these artificial food colors and ADHD, attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder in kids. There are animal studies on this also, where these food colors were tested on mice and rats. You can't do testing of these harmful ingredients on humans. And so animal studies are a standard and well accepted way. A color named blue 1 was found to be potentially causing kidney tumor in mice. Color named blue 2 and red 2 were causing brain and bladder cancer in rodents. The quantities given to these rodents or mice were higher than what a human would consume, but under most regulatory regimes, animal findings on tumor are taken seriously for humans as well. So you can imagine the amount of harmful effect repeated use of these food colors can have on our health. The impact is more pronounced on kids, as we have seen, but even for adults, these food colors can compromise their health. People with even slightly compromised immune systems can see conditions like asthma worsening, developing rashes, hives, or hypersensitivity. A color named Tartrazine is specifically linked to this, and this is again commonly used in most food products. We tend to think that Indian regulators are slow, but even in the US, the world's most developed economy, the food regulator FDA took 50 years to act on the scientific evidence. Europe was the first one to act on this evidence after a landmark 2007 study which proved the harm of these chemicals. They created regulations which mandated food items to carry warning labels if they contained any of the artificial petroleum based dyes such as sunset yellow, tartrazine, red. US on the other hand is a completely different story. The evidence of harm of these artificial colors has existed as far back as 1970s, and various representations have been made to the US FDA, but they reviewed those requests and noted inconclusive evidence to take any action and kept sitting on it. More and more requests kept being made to the FDA. FDA relied on old review of requests to dismiss these new requests, or many times their answers were based on industry bodies which were promoted by the FMCG companies themselves who were using these food colors. So much so that individual states in the US started to get restless. California, as we know, was the first one to commission a study, and eventually they announced a complete ban of all of these food colors from all school meals. They banned a color red from all of the state and then moved on to ban other colors also. And as soon as this happened, as many as 20 out of the 50 states in United States have started considering their own legislation to restrict use of these food colors simply because their central regulator was too slow. And finally, with so much ruckus around the country, the central regulator woke up and announced a complete phase out of all of these petroleum based colors in 2025. Can you imagine the world's most developed economy being so slow and allowing its population to feast on these harmful colors for decades? That is what is wrong with our food today. And as soon as FDA announced a ban, FMCG companies like Heinz, etc., immediately announced plans to replace these artificial colors with natural ones. So it was always possible, just a matter of intent. So what is the practical way forward? It is difficult to remember chemical names, but here is what you can do. Number one, if anything looks exceptionally colorful and makes you pause, like that bright pink, bright blue, bright green color in unexpected foods, please evaluate whether you really need that product. Number two, check the label. In most cases, FSSAI does not mandate mentioning the exact food color on the packet. The packet may just say contains permitted synthetic colors. That's a red flag. Please stop. Try to search about the product on Google. Generally, you will find the color, and if it has any of the food colors which are banned in US or Europe, then it's time for you to reevaluate your purchase. And finally, for those of you who are willing, I have listed down all of the food colors used in India into two buckets. Food colors are denoted by a series INS followed by a 3-digit number. So on the left side, you have the natural food colors. These are INS 100, which is turmeric, or INS 160 series, which are again plant-based natural food colors. On the right side, you have the artificial ones from INS 100 to INS 135, which are all petroleum derivatives banned in some part of the world globally and with harmful effects for our health on repeated exposure. So be very, very mindful of these. Food colors are one of the most visible and a top 3 key chemical culprit in our modern day food, which screws up our health, in addition to emulsifiers and food preservatives, which I have talked about in my other deep dives. These artificial food colors come from industrial waste, have been well documented to have harmful effects, especially on kids and in many cases on adults as well. I have left a guide of these INS numbers in the video description also. Even the world's most forward regulator, US and Europe, have been slow to act on this. US as much as 50 years, and we are many years behind. So it is absolutely essential for us to wake up, not be a laggard in this field. Eat these foods occasionally and ensure they do not become a regular part of our diet. Please, please pay special attention for your kids' diets. It can really make or break their long-term health. Be aware, be mindful, make better choices.